Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear viewers, and welcome back to Women's View on Ahlulbayt TV. You're watching Women's View live on Ahlulbayt TV. Now, if you're watching before the break, you would know our topic today is the importance of secular education, or seeking a secular education. Now, we had many of your comments and many of your tweets coming through in terms of seeking a secular education. Many of them referred it or compared it to seeking an Islamic education, saying, you know, the importance of seeking an Islamic education is greater than that of seeking a secular education. We also got an email from a sister from Florida saying that she has a friend in France who is facing the restrictions, the religious restrictions placed on those who go out and seek a secular education in the secular world. So we are getting more of your comments coming through and more of your emails, so inshallah we will be answering them during today's show. Just to remind you all that today is a live call-in show, so if you would like to call in with your views or opinions, then please do call in with the number on the screen. We would love to hear from you. Alternatively, you can email us at womensview@ahlulbayt.tv. That's womensview@ahlulbayt.tv. Otherwise, you can post any comments on Twitter, either my Twitter page or the Ahlulbayt TV Twitter page, which is posting regular tweets regarding today's show. So let's get back to our show today. I'm your host, Zahra Al Alawi, and today with me, Sister Latifa Al Zubaydi. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Before the break, we got an email from Brother Anwar, and he mentioned in terms of the importance of seeking an Islamic education. He said that many parents don't put emphasis on seeking an Islamic education, and they place all the emphasis on seeking an Islamic education. So you did answer his email before the break, but just touching upon his email, I mentioned many hadith which the Prophet and the Imams always emphasize on saying that do not seek education which would just further yourself in this world, in terms of, you know, just getting a bigger pay or having a bigger status or position within society, or seeking education just so that people can praise you. So what would you say in regards to that? You know, does that mean that those who go out just to seek a secular education to get a certificate means that they just basically doing that for the wrong reasons?
I think that intention has a big part to play in it. First of all, to answer your the comment that you made earlier, what I'd like to say, or what I'd like to make clear, is that number one, seeking an education, both religious and secular, is a fard. It's a wajib act that every Muslim should do. It has such a status that it will be classed as ibadah. The same when you go out to work and you earn the money that you need to help your family to live in the house that they live and eat the food that they eat. The fact that this act of learning and gaining knowledge is wajib means that it is ibadah. Now, worship is something that, if Allah accepts the deed, will be rewarded. So, you know, this idea that no, secular education means that you're only striving for this world and only means that, you know, you will only get benefit in this world is not necessarily true. If the intention is to gain knowledge because that is the way that that's the way of the Prophet, that is what has commanded of me, and because I want to learn, I want to please God, I want to, doing well in this world is not a shameful thing. You shouldn't, you know, it's not something that you should feel shy about. Of course, you should be a humble person, whatever your status. If you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're, you know, someone who owns a shop, you should always be humble, but you should also strive to be successful in this world, because that also has its benefits. You, with the money that you earn, you will be able to feed your family, you'll be able to give more to charity, you'll be able to help more communities. It's something, you know, you will be used as a tool in God's way that will benefit other people. Also, you know, counteracting the propaganda that goes on in the media against Islam. If you're a successful person and you are in parliament and you are a Muslim Shia, people are going to think, hold on, what? You are Muslim, you are Shia, don't you beat yourself? Well, no, I don't. This is what I do for my worship. You know, it's by you being successful in this world, there's so many things that you can do. All that I would like to say is, you know, we should all have the right intention, and we should all understand our wajibat. I heard there was a question asked to Sayyid Jawad al-Khazwini recently at one of his talks, and he said that when you do good in the way of Allah, then you need to have the right intention. But if it's something that you already know, so if you already know that being good to your mother pleases Allah, it's not something that you have to think about every time you go to wash the dishes for your mom. You don't have to think, nawaitu taqarruban lillahi ta'ala. You don't have to make that intention, as long as you understand subconsciously that this is the way to get God's pleasure.
Yeah.
So intention, it's all about intention.
Interesting. An interesting point they mentioned. Someone also just tweeted now, they said, I don't know why so many religious people scare away from learning sciences. I'm a science major and studying it brings me closer to Allah. So that
it's something that so many people said. I've seen videos and clips of these scientists that they talk about the marvel of the eye and the body. Then you just see the wonder in their eyes. Honestly, watching wildlife brings sometimes, it just makes you think, subhanallah, 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 what have you created? What have you look in the sea, you see all the different things in the bodies, and watching the skies move. Science is listed in the Quran. It's where, for me personally, it's where I am so solid. That's why I'm so solid about my faith in this religion, because there's no doubt. It's God gives it to you on a silver platter. He gives you. He directs at your heart. He makes you feel. Through charity, through the acts of the Prophet. It makes your heart soft, and it also gets to your brain. He talks to your logic. He says, do you want me to prove to you that I exist? Look at this, read this. And when you compare it to when it was revealed and how it came about, how the child is developed in the womb, how we came to existence, I completely agree with her. Science makes you closer to Allah.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think especially when I watch real-life documentaries and all these aspects, scientific documentaries, it does get you closer to Allah, because you see Allah's creations and the glory of Allah. Okay, someone else said this in terms of, they just tweeted this, they said, but the Western teaching has neglected a lot of the Islamic opinions and life aspects, so do we abandon secular education? So I think the meaning that in terms of, when we did study science, we did study many of the theories which go against Islamic teachings in terms of how the world came about and how...
Talking about evolution.
And the existence of life and all these aspects. So the question was, so do they abandon secular education in terms of that?
Well, first and foremost, you don't treat it tit for tat. If so the system that you live in doesn't provide, this invention was actually created by Muslims, they don't have to say that. They provide you the curriculum. It's all it's all done by the people higher up in the government. It's not something that I think people should neglect because they neglect us. Well, gain what you can from the system and make sure that you use the time outside of it to compensate. So, for example, your children are going to nursery, or they're going to, year 6. You understand that today they'll be learning science, maths, and English and PE. Well, when they come home, you have that hour, you have that weekend to enrich them with the knowledge that is correct, which is Islamic knowledge.
Yeah.
It's just because the system doesn't provide that. I don't think it should, to be honest. I think that there's a place for we should have Muslim schools. That would solve everything. But unfortunately, we don't, and sometimes it's not available. So they have to cater for a large majority of people. They have to cater for people who believe in God, people who don't, people who think that the sea comes from this and that the planet does this, and so for them to provide a religious program which indoctrinates within people or children religion, I think would be wrong. I wouldn't be comfortable with someone that I see once a day to drop my kids and pick them up, teach them about religion. I don't know what they're filling their head in. It's something that you should take responsibility for yourself. If you have members in your family or if you have children, you need to take that responsibility upon yourself to teach them the truth from falsehood in regards to religion.
Interesting. In terms of now speaking, you spoke a lot about the benefits of seeking a secular education. So why should we encourage our communities or our societies to actually go out and seek an education? Why should we encourage them?
Well, for many reasons, it encourages the person to grow, encourages the community to grow and flourish, not only financially. You know, there's so many things that can come of it. The community can grow closer together. Enlightenment, closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most important, I guess. Secular education isn't something to be scared of. Secular education provides you understanding of this world, and when you understand some of the things in this world, then you as a person, your mind opens. When that happens, then you're able to accomplish more. I think that everyone should seek a secular education, and alhamdulillah, most people are already. That has to be done because of the law that every person, I think, under the age of 16 in most Western countries have to be in full-time education. I think that's a benefit, and for most people, it gets them into a lifestyle of learning for the rest of their lives. But unfortunately, I think we all experience this. After semester is over, we throw our books, they gain dust, we don't touch them, and that's fine as long as you pursue some sort of knowledge, and that's down to your choice, whatever you can develop in.
Good answer. I'm getting some more emails coming through. Let me just read this one out. This one's quite interesting as well. Assalamu alaikum. Watching the show now, I agree with seeking an education in the secular world. However, with so much corruption in our societies, do we really think that's the best option? Shouldn't we take our children to Islamic private schools so they will not get affected by the corruption and deviation of this society? I'd rather my child do that than end up getting corrupted in a public school. I've studied in England and have seen many Muslim brothers and sisters getting corrupted, which is why I say this. Looking forward to your views. Thank you for your time. Hussein from London. So much corruption and deviation happening in the public schools. The brother says that he attended the public school himself and saw this with his own eyes. So wouldn't it be better if someone takes their children to a private Islamic school?
I think that if you have an option, then go ahead. It will be down to your own discretion. It obviously would be encouraged. What better way to begin your child's life than to be able to protect them? But I think that we need to understand that protection of a child does not come from you putting them behind four walls and a certain environment. It comes from Allah, and that you need to, for them to be able to cope with society in general that you live in, they need to be aware of these things. Obviously, not from a young age. I think there's going to be a mixture of answers to this particular question, because on one side they need to be shown what's out there so that they can make the choice of right from wrong. That's why God gave us free will and preferred us over the angels. He gave us knowledge. He gave us free will. They don't have free will. They have to worship day in, day out. That's all they were created for. So even if you are going to put your child in a religious school, do you honestly think that if someone wanted to be corrupt, that a religious school will stop them? It's down to the person. You shouldn't. The person is controlled by their mind. They're not controlled by the environment. And I understand, and I've seen it myself. I completely agree with brother Hussein. Hussein about you see such a large amount of brothers and sisters who even wear hijab, and they wear the full outfit, the whole Muslim get-up, and they still act in a way where completely un-Islamic. And that just shows you that contradicts what he's saying. They have been raised in that environment. That's the social acceptable outfit for them. Yet they still go out and do corruptness. The atmosphere hasn't done anything for them. Their insides are still black. It's down to parents or communities, people in a position of influence, to make sure that they use that influence in the most positive way and enrich the children with. Sometimes children don't want to hear about religion, and it infuriates you, and you think, why don't you understand, and let me make you understand. But you need to help them you need to nurture them in the way that they want to be nurtured. I think that anyone who has children will be able to pick up on the small things that make them unique from all the other kids. And you as a parent will be able to see that this child would be good at art because they seem to enjoy that a lot better. So help them, nurture them in what you can see is good for them. And you know, if you force them in an environment where they're going to be uncomfortable, then they're going to do it for the wrong reasons. Their intention goes down the drain, and like you said, you know, they'll be gaining that kind of knowledge and doing this not to gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but to earn money, bigger house, bigger wedding, and the rest of it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you, because if they don't get exposed to it at school, they'll get exposed to it within the society. So anyone that is prone to deviation will deviate, whether you put them between four walls or take them to secular school. But I do know what the brother's talking about for the brother. I hope that answers your question, but I know what he's talking about, because we see many people that do get corrupted and deviated from society. Many parents may be fearful that they put their children in the secular school or the public schools within the West, that they will get deviated. But that's something which parents need to educate their children on. With the right upbringing and the right education, I think whether you put your child in the public school or the private school, they will flourish, and they won't be prone to deviation.
I think I can speak from my own personal experience. You know, maybe that would help some people. That I attended a public school, and it was so run down that the council was considering closing it, and there was this whole long petition.
That bad.
it was really bad. You know, the things that went on in that school: drugs, easy drugs. You know, smoking, normal. Teachers would smoke with kids, and it was really, really bad. Now, I know a couple of people from that school till today, and alhamdulillah, you know, there's a wide distance between where their lives are heading and where my life is heading. And so it's, you know, I'm not perfect, but alhamdulillah, I'm not that bad. You know, the issues that the brother was talking about, you know, deviation and corruption, you know, alhamdulillah, no drugs, you know, none of that in my life. So it's down to the individual. Honestly, it's down to the families, how they bring up their children, because that's the main influence in a child's life. And if you show them love rather than fear, you know, in the sense that no matter what grade they get, you know that they've put the best. They've done the best that they can. You will still hug them and treat them to ice cream and whatever it is that you usually do for them, rather than when they get something you start calling them names. You know, you hit them, you ground them, you take their phones away from them. That's going to have the effect. It is hard work to be a parent, and if you want your children to be the gems that you see them to be now, you need to put in that time, and you need to nurture them. You need to.
That's true. Yeah. The hard work, if you put it in, you will see it flourish. In terms of going out to the Ahlulbayt and the Prophet and what they said in terms of seeking an education, first of all, what have they said in terms of seeking an education? And second, what personalities do we have of the Ahlulbayt and in Islam in terms of showing us that we need to seek all forms of education in different ways, not just the Islamic education?
Okay. Well, from what I know, I've done a bit of research on this topic just so that I can answer these questions. And I know that Imam Ja'far alayhi salam, there's, if I can read something out from the paper, because I haven't been able to memorize it. First of all, that the Quran itself, you know, no greater personality or thing than God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He has emphasized the importance of knowledge through the Prophet to us all. You know, this is a really actually interesting fact. I read this and I was amazed that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam used to emphasize knowledge to such an extent that in the Battle of Badr, which the Muslims were victorious in, the Prophet and his companions captured 70 non-believers. And one of the conditions for them to be released was to teach 10 Muslim children to read and write.
Wow.
That you would commit such an atrocious sin as to battle the Prophet and his companions in the aim of killing them, yet for your release, we only demand, or one of the things that we demand from you is to teach 10 Muslim children to read and write. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, there's no greater example than him. And that's the kind of emphasis that he put on religion, on knowledge. What I'd also like to say is that our imams have stipulated so many times that, you know, if you ever have the decision to make the decision between wealth and knowledge, you should go for knowledge, because when you use wealth will decrease. When you use your knowledge, it will only increase. Also, wealth can be taken away from you, but your knowledge can never be taken away from you. It will only increase throughout the rest of your life. Look at the our Ayyimah. Throughout all their lives, they were always prosecuted. Always their lands were taken away from them. Always their positions stripped away from them. Their lovers stripped away from them. Their followers taken away from them, tortured. No matter what kind of wealth you have, whether it's the wealth of family, you know, fortunes, or any other type of wealth, your knowledge, that treasure will never be taken away from you. And that's something that they always encouraged people to be in. Also, Imam Ali alayhi salam, how many times do we hear in our majalis that despite him not being given his title as the first Khalif, or, you know, his appropriate standard, that the Khulafa after him, or before him, always used to go to him for religious issues, to solve, you know, disputes between people. He was always the point of call.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just about religious issues. I know there's one hadith I think most people know of, you know, when there was a lady who came to the Imam and said, you know, I committed this at that time, and, you know, what do I do? I was forced. And he would, you know, Umar at the time, I think it was Umar, who condemned her to death, whereas Imam Ali said, hold on. You know, this was an issue of jurisprudence, but it also has a lot of social implications.
Yeah.
You know, things that go outside the range of religious knowledge. It also goes into the knowledge of the physical, the knowledge of the world. So I think that, and I have many more examples. You know, all these Muslims who I think it was Muslims who created the camera lens. And, you know, that was taken in from east to Spain, the Moors who came to Spain, and then people took it to the west. And we have so many examples of Muslims who use the knowledge that was given from, you know, obviously our imams, also from, I'm sure, people who weren't Muslims, or, you know, they weren't even religious, but they used that to develop the world and to help other people develop and and to just help this world become a better place. So I think that does have a lot of relevance.
Definitely. We'll come back to that just in a minute. We are off for a break, so inshallah we'll come back to that in a few minutes. You are watching Women's View live on Ahlulbayt TV. Our topic today is how important is secular education. We will be reading more of your messages out after the break and discussing this after the break. So join us for the last half an hour of today's show. So see you in a few minutes. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Society, or seeking education just so that people can praise you. So what would you say in regards to that? You know, does that mean that those who go out just to seek a secular education to get a certificate means that they just basically doing that for the wrong reasons?
I think that intention has a big part to play in it. First of all, to answer your the comment that you made earlier, what I'd like to say, or what I'd like to make clear, is that number one,
before the break we got an email from Brother Anwar, and he mentioned in terms of the importance of seeking an Islamic education. He said that many parents don't put emphasis on seeking an Islamic education, and they place all the emphasis on seeking an Islamic education. So you did answer his email before the break, but just touching upon his email, I mentioned many hadith which the Prophet and the Imams always emphasize on saying that do not seek education which would just further yourself in this world, in terms of, you know, just getting a bigger pay or having a bigger status or position within this live call-in show. So if you would like to call in with your views or opinions, then please do call in with the number on the screen. We'd love to hear from you. Alternatively, you can email us at womensview@ahlulbayt.tv. That's womensview@ahlulbayt.tv. Otherwise, you can post any comments on Twitter, either my Twitter page or the Ahlulbayt TV Twitter page, which is posting regular tweets regarding today's show. So let's get back to our show today. I'm your host, Zahra Al Alawi, and today with me is Sister Latifa Al Zubaydi. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Welcome back. Referred it or compared it to seeking an Islamic education and saying, you know, the importance of seeking an Islamic education is greater than that of seeking a secular education. We also got an email from a sister from Florida saying that she has a friend in France who is facing the restrictions, the religious restrictions placed on those who go out and seek a secular education in the secular world. So we are getting more of your comments coming through and more of your emails, so inshallah we will be answering them during today's show. Just to remind you all that today Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, and welcome back to Women's View on Ahlulbayt TV. You're watching Women's View live on Ahlulbayt TV. Now, if you're watching before the break, you would know our topic today is the importance of secular education or seeking a secular education. Now, we had many of your comments and many of your tweets coming through in terms of seeking a secular education. Many of them